Welcome to the Veterinary Marketing Podcast, where it's all about helping your veterinary practice attract, engage, and retain clients. Broadcasting a new podcast every Monday from sunny Southern California, here's your host, Brandon Bashirs.
Hey there, everybody. Welcome to this week's episode of the Veterinary Marketing Podcast. Today we are on episode number 126, and we are going to be talking about Facebook audiences. Now, Facebook audiences, this is really important if you are using Facebook ads or trying to distribute your content through Facebook, any kind of paid promotion, either through Facebook or Instagram. So I think that that's getting more and more important as time goes on. And so it's important, too, that you know how to reach the right people. And so that's what today's episode is going to be all about. I'm going to tell you the best audiences that I think for most veterinary practices, what to do if you're trying to reach people who are really engaged with your page, people who like your brand, all kinds of cool stuff. So we're going to be talking about that in just a second. Before we begin, I want to mention a few things. First, if you haven't done so already, be sure to subscribe in iTunes or Google Play. And if you could do me a huge favor, if you like the podcast, please leave me an honest review. I would really appreciate it. I'd also like to mention this episode is being sponsored by usedvetequipment.com. Usedvetequipment.com is a website that was started by Brad Haven. It's been online for now over 5 years. And so usedvetequipment.com brings buyers and sellers together. So do you have used equipment in your storage room that you want to sell? Are you looking to save money by buying used? If you're looking to buy or sell anything veterinary related, from cages and kennels, x-rays, ultrasounds, surgery and laser equipment, laboratory equipment from IDEXX or Baxis, tables, tubs, sinks, all kinds of miscellaneous things, you need to go over and check out usedvetequipment.com. Tell Brad that you heard about it from the podcast, and if you're looking to buy or sell, just head on over there. It's like eBay for vets, and it works pretty well because he's created a system that protects both the buyer and seller, make sure everyone is happy. So check out the testimonials there on the website from both buyers and sellers. And hey, if you are at VMX this year, Brad is also there. So you can head on out and meet him while you're at VMX. So just wanted to mention that. He's thanks for sponsoring the podcast, Brad and Used Vet Equipment. I really appreciate it. Be sure to support sponsors because it helps the podcast to go on. So thank you guys so much for checking them out. Let them know that you heard about it on the podcast. I'd also like to mention that if you haven't done so already, you need to join the Facebook group called Veterinary Marketing Nerds. It's a Facebook group that I started. We do weekly challenges. I'm doing live streams weekly on Facebook about different things. Last week, we talked about chatbots. The week before, I can't remember what we talked about, but we talk about good stuff. This week coming up here, I'm going to be building some campaigns live and share with you kind of the tips and tricks that I use to help get, especially veterinary practices, a lot more reach and a lot more bang for your buck. So I want to make sure and be a part of that by heading on over to Facebook, search for Veterinary Marketing Nerds, or you can go to facebook.com/groups/the Veterinary Marketing Nerds. So check that out. Be sure to join. I'm excited to see you in the group. All right, so let's get into today's episode. So first off, what are audiences? Well, within ads and within Facebook, you have ways to target different groups of people. So targeting is different from audiences. And the reason why targeting is different from audiences is because targeting, you can reach people who've never engaged with you. You can choose demographic data, all kinds of cool things that you can be reaching. With audiences, it's different because it's people who specifically engaged with you. Maybe it's people that are current clients, all kinds of different ways to reach people. So how do you get to audiences? First off, you have to go into Facebook. You go in that left-hand column over there, you click on Ads Manager. And then when you're in Ads Manager, you go to the very top left-hand corner, you click on Ads Manager, and then at the very bottom is audiences. That's how you get there. So there's ways to create audiences. First, you can create pixel audiences. And pixel audiences are basically people who visited certain areas of your websites. Pixels are pieces of JavaScript code that you embed in specific pages or all of your pages. And then you define, based on the URL, which of those audiences you want to be targeting. So for example, If you wanted to create a list of people who are interested in your boarding, you would put a pixel on your boarding on your website, and then you could retarget those people with Facebook ads later on. Because if they've been to your website, they got there, they're looking at the boarding services, chances are they're probably interested in boarding, right? Or let's say dental, whatever services that you have on your website. And so then retargeting those people, creating an ad, and then choosing only people who've been on this page, that's one way of creating an audience. So it's pretty cool. When you go to audiences, you have a blue button at the top, near the top left-hand corner, and you can create custom audiences or lookalike audiences. Now, for most veterinary practices and most businesses in general that are local, like veterinary practices, lookalike audiences are not going to be your thing. And the reason for that is that the sample size is just so large. The minimum sample size that you can use is 2.1 million people. So you could, it's difficult to create lists that use lookalike audiences because it's just so large. So when you're in a veterinary practice, you need to really make sure that you're targeting only people around you. And so I feel like lookalike audiences just are not something that's going to be a good fit. But if you do go to custom audiences, you have all of these cool choices. So you click custom audiences and up pops a screen. And in this screen, we have customer file, we have website traffic, app activity. Almost nobody's going to be using app activity, especially veterinary practices. Offline activity, which is so cool. We're going to talk about that in just a second. And then engagement, which is actually one of my favorite ones because those are the people who are engaging with your content that are going to be the most likely to buy, in my opinion, especially from your Facebook page or Instagram page. But let's run down this really quick through the list that Facebook has. In the order that Facebook has them listed. So number one, we have customer file. Now, customer file is cool because it's uploading either phone numbers, user IDs, or email addresses. You're not going to have user IDs unless you have an app that collects that data, and it has to be a Facebook native app. So it's not likely that you're going to have that, so ignore it. But you will have phone numbers of clients, and also you will have email addresses, and you can put both of those up, upload them, or copy and paste them, and then you can market to those people. Now you can create segments within your list. So let's say you can export practice manager stuff. I said practice manager stuff. I've actually never used a practice management software, so I'm not sure what you can do with it. But let's say you can segment different breeds or cat owners or dog owners or people who've been in for specific treatments. Let's say you can export the list of people who participated in Dental Month last year. You can upload those customer files and then create ads that just are specific for that. Now, when you're creating lists, and specifically custom audiences, I think that it's very helpful if you have what's called a naming convention, so that you have a system for naming these audiences, and then you can quickly access them because we can get tons and tons of audiences. Some of my clients, we have something like 120 different audiences, and so it's very important that we're very concise with the name of the audience so that we don't have to keep looking it up or remaking things, and that way we can know specifically what it's all about. So when you're putting up a customer file audience, some things that I like to do are, number one, define if it's a current client, define what the date range is from that client so that if you have a date specifically, you'll know when it was uploaded, that you can tell if you need to re-upload it. And then also I would say that you talk about the medium that you uploaded. So maybe phone numbers or emails, so current client emails, and then today's date, for example. Or maybe current client, dental month, participants, and then the current date. So that helps too. And typically I like to actually name the campaign partially after the list of people that I'm using. I like to do that so that I can follow up within my reporting based on, I'll be able to tell which campaigns are working well, which customer lists are working well, and what our conversion rates are on those. And that gives me a pretty clear indication of return on investment for the different kinds of things that I'm working on. When you're working on return on investment, though, we got to be talking about bottom of funnel type of marketing, because when you're doing awareness type ads or something, most people aren't going to have the reporting software that's going to tell you this client was attributed to this campaign or this piece of content. And so I typically only worry about return on investment for bottom of funnel stuff. And then for top of funnel stuff, I will just look at more vanity metrics. So what were my cost per clicks? What were my cost per views? That kind of stuff. So I hope that's kind of helpful. I kind of went down a rabbit hole there. But that's customer file. And so this is a very helpful way to reach your clients. Now the next one is website traffic. And this is pretty dang cool. I like website traffic because they've actually added a few options in there. One being that you can do all website visitors, people who spent time on specific web pages, and you can define that. And then also visitors by time spent. So you can choose people who spent the top 25% of people who spend time. So it'll kind of measure all of the people there, and it'll give you the best 25% of people. So people who spend more time on your site, they're kind of assuming, hey, this is going to be more effective to reach them because they've done more research on you, things like that. And so that's just kind of cool feature. It's definitely worth a test. You can do the top 25%, the top 10%, or the top 5%. And by the same token, you can also exclude any of these people. So if you're trying to do, by the same token, if you're trying to reach people who've never been in your practice before, you can upload a list of people that are current clients and exclude them. So if you're trying to do a new client offer or something like that, where you don't want your current clients to see it, then you can add this negative list of clients. Now, this is kind of a cool thing because with your Facebook page, a lot of practices that I talk to, they have Facebook pages of people who have client lists, but then they have a page with several thousand page likes. And so there's a lot of people that are evaluating you and your practice that haven't necessarily been in. So you can target people who like specifically your page and exclude your current clients and then offer a new client something to get them in the door, right? So that's kind of cool. So custom audience of website traffic is definitely valuable and something that you should test out to see how that works. Now, there's a new audience feature called offline activity, and this is pretty exciting. Now, Google also, when Google Ads have created this kind of offline activity, but benchmark and feature. But basically, this is where you can create an audience based on your practice software. You upload the list of people, and it will cross-reference that with users who've engaged with your content. Now, this is pretty complicated. It has to be formatted in a certain way. I've actually never been able to test it. If this is something that you would like to test, because I don't have a practice management software, I don't work inside of a specific practice, but if you'd like to test this, we can try and get it going, and it would be really exciting to test. I would love to work on this. So if anybody has some a desire to try and test this, let me know, because it would be very fun. And so you can set up specific events based on your practice management software, or in uploading files there, and I forget the format of it. Let's see here. So there's another thing that you can do as well, which is pixels. And so how do you pixel somebody who comes into your practice? It's a question that I've been thinking about so that we could use this and create audiences of people who actually come in your practice. And I think the easiest way to do that is to create a Wi-Fi gateway in your practice and place a pixel on that. So when you have somebody sign into your practice's Wi-Fi, if they go to a terms page where it says we agree, terms of service, privacy, blah, 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 all that stuff. If you did that, you could then place a pixel on that page, and that pixel would then target people. So it would be really, really cool, because most people, when they go places, if there's Wi-Fi available, they will log on. And so you could actually create a list of people who've been in your practice, and that's as good as it gets right there, in my opinion, because then you can target their mobile devices. That's the best list of people that's possible. What's really cool too is then you could measure ROI on awareness type pieces, see how people engaged with your practice and what kind of the path that they took to get to your practice based on that pixel. And so, for example, if you created just a dental month picture, they saw the picture and then they came in, you would be able to attribute that to that picture to actual clients, which is pretty dang cool. Google AdWords has something similar. I'll probably do a podcast episode on that in the future. But this is really cool. Again, if you want to try this out, send me a message on Facebook, because that would be really fun to try. The last one is engagement. And custom audiences of engagement is really cool. And the reason why I like this engagement is because it's people who already interact with your brand. And so they already know you, and they're, have either done business with you or are evaluating you. And so here we can create custom audiences of people who've watched specific videos. We can do all of your videos. And so this is creating retargeting lists of just engagement. So people who've watched at least 10 seconds of a video, or at least 25% of a video. So let's say you talk about, as an example, a list of people, let's say you talk about in a video all of your new boarding facilities that you've just built in your practice. And you want to really highlight that and get new clients coming in. So you create a video. It shows how cool your cat condos are. It shows how cool all of your dog runs are, how there's individual playtime. It looks amazing. And you boost that out to your local area, let's say 25-mile radius, and then you target dog and cat owners. Okay. With that, you can then take people who've watched at least 25% of that and then show them the special for what you have running as a special this month. And that way, you're taking people who've segmented themselves, they're watching your content and engaging with it, and then you're delivering a relevant offer. I don't think somebody would watch a boarding video or a dental video or a spay and neuter video, and I wouldn't go more than 25% because your audiences are just going to get low. But I would set it so that they watch 25% of the videos and then retarget them with offers. What's so cool about this too is it's not just on Facebook. You can also have Instagram engagement. So it's people who watched Instagram videos as well. Very, very cool. So I love retargeting videos. It really helps you to segment your list. So lead forms is the next one that you can use. You can create a list of people. So lead forms are basically like landing pages within Facebook and Instagram that's native. Their data already gets populated into the fields if you're not using custom fields. And it's a cool medium to generate leads. So lead forms are great. You can target people who've opted into specific offers or people who saw the landing page and did not opt in. So retargeting people who were interested but then didn't follow through. So that's a valuable audience. Also to create a full screen experience is the next one. So if you use Canvas, Canvas is an ad type. You can use Canvas ads to publish to Instagram stories. And so it's just a different medium. I've not really found success with Canvas. It's been more expensive than other ad types. You can make really cool ads, but it's not something that I've really felt has been really solid yet. I would say that I want to test this more, though, within Instagram Stories. I think Instagram Stories is probably a pretty effective place. It's not super busy. It's a lot of attention there right now. So that's something to think about in the future. Facebook page. So these are people who've engaged with specific posts, with the page, with Messenger, very, very specific people. This Facebook page engagement list is really good if you're doing things like open houses or events, and you can just target people that are already engaging with you. And so this is a really good way to get some kind of hyperactive activity on a page or an event or a post or something. So if you want lots of people to see it, those are the people to target because they're already liking your stuff. They're going to like and share it a lot more frequently. Instagram business profiles of people who've seen your Instagram page or posts from your Instagram account. This is also same kind of thought behind it, where you're going to be targeting people who are kind of hyperactive and already like it. And then the last one is events, which is also new, which is exciting. So people who've interacted with events on Facebook. So if you created a dental month event and you had specific content going in there and, special offers, and you got people to go in there, you could then retarget people who are interacting within that event. Or if you ran it next year, you could target people who reacted to it last year. So that's kind of cool. A lot of ideas here. So those are all of the custom audiences that Facebook has right now. I think each one of these, with the exception of app activity, has a lot of potential for veterinary practice. If you're running ads, these are the people that you want to see your ads, because they're people who already do business with you or people who already know about you. So you don't have to go through that necessarily awareness stage. They're already evaluating or converting with your practice. So again, just to recap real quick, we have generally 4 different types of custom audiences that we can build. We can build customer files which we're providing the data. That's phone numbers and emails. We have web traffic, which is people who visited your website or specific pages on your website. We have offline activity, people who've come into the practice. And then we have engagement within the specific properties, either Facebook or Instagram or both. So there's a lot of things to think about here, a lot of things to test out. If you want to head on over to the Veterinary Marketing Nerds Facebook group, I'll do a live stream this week where I create custom audiences based kind of on this specific episode here, and we'll talk about that. But these are some of my favorite ways to market a practice, and I think that if you are thinking at all about doing ads, this is something that you should be definitely working on and working with. So with that, I want to say if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. Send me a message through Facebook, through Messenger on the Facebook page. And be sure to watch last week's chatbot training that I did live. It was pretty in-depth. It was almost an hour long, and we really got into it. I'm going to go through and timestamp it because it's long, so you're going to want to make sure and see all the different parts that I talk about in specific strategies for your veterinary practice. So again, if you haven't done so already, be sure to subscribe in iTunes and in Google Play. And if you could do me a huge favor, please be sure to leave me an honest review. I'd really appreciate it. And have a fantastic week. I will see you on next week's episode.